Hi again, I'm Michael, and I'll be covering for your instructor Jason in this video. Now, you have a presentation or a report filled with insights from your research. You've also shared those insights with stakeholders and agreed on the ones to take action on. The next step is to improve your designs based on what you've learned. That means using your research insights to revise your designs. So, why do we do this? Conducting research like a usability study helps us identify pain points that participants experience with different prototypes. Each time you learn about a pain point, there's an opportunity to update the design and make the experience better for users. That way, the issue can be fixed before the final product launches. Participants might have identified a lot of pain points during the usability study. As you might remember, to make the analysis easier, we found themes in the data and turned those themes into insights. So, how do you know which insights to use to update your design? It's helpful to prioritize your research insights from the most urgent to the least urgent. You'll likely do this prioritization with project stakeholders like a fellow designer, the product manager, or an engineering lead. There are a few insights that should be considered for priority 0 or P0, which means they must be fixed for your product to work. For example, were there any parts of the design that prevented the user from completing the main user flow? Imagine if users weren't able to book a dog walker in our dog walking app. That's definitely something we'd want to fix and would be considered a P0 issue. Or were there parts of your design where users felt tricked? This might indicate a deceptive pattern. Think about the participants in our dog walking app usability study who were frustrated or surprised that there wasn't a confirmation page before they were charged. Not including a confirmation page might seem like a sneaky way to take money from users, which is not our intent and is something we want to avoid. Finally, were there any parts of your design that were inequitable or inaccessible? Users of all abilities, identities, and experiences need to be able to successfully move through your product's design. These are P0s to address too. After you identify your P0 insights, you'll likely have a lot of insights left to take action on. These insights can be categorized into buckets based on their priority. In addition to priority 0, you might have buckets called priority 1 and priority 2. Let's think about an example of an insight that might be categorized as priority 1. During the usability study on the dog walking app, many participants said they wanted to be able to make a reoccurring appointment with a dog walker. Since participants shared this pain point, you could consider this as priority 1 or P1. One reason you might not consider it a priority 0 is that even without the reoccurring appointment feature, the user can still complete the main flow in the app. You could reason that the extra ability to make a recurring appointment with a dog walker would improve the user experience and therefore could be considered a P1 to include in a future prototype to be tested. If your team ends up with lots of priority 1 insights, you may choose to further categorize these insights by adding another bucket called priority 2. For example, you and your team might review a list of 10 insights that you initially categorized as priority 1 and identify which of these insights to address this month, which would stay as priority 1 versus next month, which would become priority 2. This additional ranking enables small teams to divide up the work and focus on the most important design changes first. All right, after you prioritize the pain points that were highlighted by the participants during your research, you might still have questions. Keep in mind that the findings from our small usability study were limited, since we were only able to get perspectives from 5 participants. In the real world, many UX researchers want to have 5 to 8 participants. As you learned in an earlier reading, usability studies should have a minimum of 5 participants. Research shows having 5 participants can provide a large enough sample size for generating valuable feedback. The reason studies are often capped at 8 participants is that research shows there's often diminishing returns on investment if additional participants are added to the study. Your ability to do more research will depend on your team, your company, your project timeline, and your project budget. Like we've discussed before, UX design is a really iterative process. Very often, prioritizing and advocating for user needs becomes the responsibility of the UX researcher and designer. This is especially important when it comes to better understanding the needs of groups that have been historically underrepresented in user studies. We'll create prototypes, learn from research, and iterate on our designs many times. And it's important that we make the effort to reach out to user groups whose experiences and needs are often not considered in design. This entire process of researching, synthesizing, and then iterating based on that research is a loop, not a line. That means the cycle is often repeated many times. For the purpose of this course, we'll be taking you through a more linear process. But in reality, the design process rarely plays out like that. Next up, let's get back to our project in Figma. We'll modify our low-fidelity designs based on insights from a usability study. See you there.